So, herzlich willkommen bei Super Games TV. Heute mit einem neuen Gast und einem neuen Spiel. Das erklären wir euch heute ausführlich. Wir werden es auch zocken. Nick ist von Vancouver gekommen. Hello, Nick. Thank you very much.
Hello.
For your visit. So, first of all, you came from Vancouver. Can you just describe a little bit your studio there and what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're from Phoenix Labs. We started developing Dauntless about 4 years ago. It's our debut title. We're about 60 people strong now, and yeah, we've got a couple people down in San Mateo, California as well as some remote folks. But yeah, the main office is in Vancouver, British Columbia.
So 60 people is quite big.
Yeah, it's quite big now. Yeah, when I joined, we were about 12 people, so we've grown a lot in the last couple of years.
Was it your idea? Your idea for Dauntless, the game idea?
No, I can't take credit for Dauntless, sadly. That's we have 3 co-founders, Jesse, Robin, and Sean, who we've all worked with at previous video game developers. They founded the studio 4 years ago, and shortly thereafter began work on Dauntless.
So, and of course, the public founded your game as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we launched our closed alpha in April of 2017, and shortly thereafter we launched our Founders Program, which allowed players to essentially pre-order the game and get early access and start playing the game immediately and start providing feedback and help us improve the game.
Is it a good situation for you to have outside some people who gave you money? So this is a new way since 10 years maybe to create games and are able to.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of us at the studio come from more traditional video game development backgrounds where you ship a $60 product or even more than that, and players buy it when it comes out. And whether the game is good or not, hopefully it's great, sometimes it's not, and that kind of sucks for the players. So very early on in Dauntless, we wanted to get our free-to-play message out there. We wanted players to get hands-on with the product so that we could start improving it almost immediately. And yeah, community feedback has just been essential to our video game development process.
Okay, Dauntless. For all the people who never heard a word from this game, can you just describe it?
Sure. So Dauntless is an online co-op action RPG. We're on PC right now, and essentially what Dauntless is all about is teaming up with your friends, taking on these ferocious, savage beasts known as behemoths, feeling like a badass while you're doing it. Lots of gear, lots of armor, lots of weapons, progression, crafting, like all the hallmarks of a great RPG are present in Dauntless. Character customization as well. And it's just about having fun with your friends online. I mean, that's kind of been central to our studio's identity and our core very early on, is we wanted to create something that players could share together, have fun together, share those like water cooler moments and those wow moments with each other when they're gaming.
So today we are able to play a little bit because Anne is sitting there, your colleague is sitting there. So wir haben eine Reihe von Spielern und wir werden jetzt mal direkt ins Spiel eingehen. So I think, can we just start?
Yeah, let's do it.
Around and you explain your game.
Sure. So right here we're in Ramsgate. This is the central city hub. It's a little empty right now because we're playing on a test server, but normally there's upwards of 40, 50, sometimes 60 people, other players running around in the city. It's where you're going to meet your friends. It's where you're going to make new ones. You select the hunt or the mission that you want to go on from here. It's kind of like where you plan your next mission. So we'll just jump into the first one. We've got a couple people in our party already. From here on the hunt, this is the hunt board where you view your world map. This is where you'll pick which island you want to explore. So Dauntless takes place in a setting where the world has been shattered and there are these mysterious and majestic kind of floating islands everywhere. And that'll be surfaced in the story and cinematics as well. So we'll just jump in here and do our first hunt. We should load in here pretty quick. The basic story of Dauntless is you take on the role of a slayer. You and your friends are slayers who are these fierce warriors who stand against these ferocious beasts, these behemoths. And essentially, the behemoths are consuming the land. These floating islands are being held up by some mysterious force known as ether, but the behemoths crave it. So they literally chew up the islands until they crumble and fall out of the sky, which leaves mankind one less place to live. So we got to take the fight back to them and wipe out the behemoth threat.
So it's a team play for how many players?
So we are creating an online world. So you can play online with hundreds, thousands of people. Each hunt is up to 4 people.
Okay.
So you can play solo if you like. You can play doubles, triples, or up to 4 people. So we've arrived here on our first hunt. We're on one of the many floating islands of Dauntless. You can see some other ones floating in the background. And on this island is a behemoth that we as slayers have to track down and fight to take the island back from. So we've arrived here with a couple of our friends, and we're going to spread out and start tracking the behemoth. As you explore the island, there's going to be other points of interest, like crafting components that you can pick up, things that'll help you make potions, armor, weapons back in the city as well. Mm-hmm. Like over here, it looks like we got some mushrooms that we can use to make a potion. You'll also notice other smaller animals inhabiting the island. They'll actually respond to the behemoth's presence. So birds will flock out of trees. Smaller animals will run away from the behemoth, kind of giving you an indication of where they're at.
Can you just say some sentence about the artworks and the style?
I can, yeah. So we have a crazy, amazing art team back home. Our art director, Glenn, has done a fantastic job really defining the visual style of Dauntless. And for us, what it was about is we wanted to create kind of an iconic look to, looks like some birds flew from over there, it might be over here. We wanted to create an iconic look that would last for months and years. So you'll notice we have kind of like this hyper stylized art style, really bright, vibrant colors, really accentuated and exaggerated curves and lines to the islands and to the characters themselves. Down here, maybe? Do you see him yet, Jordan?
Southwest.
Oh, I am not anywhere near the southwest. So some of our Slayer friends here have lit off a couple flares to help us track down the behemoth. Oh, there he is.
Okay.
Yep, there he is. So each behemoth encounter is super unique. We've got about 15 or so unique behemoths in the game. And that's before you include ones that have like different variants or different varieties. This is Shrike. He is referred to as the owl bear back home. But he's kind of an early game behemoth who's going to show us the ropes of Dauntless. He's got a couple long range attacks, a lot of short range attacks. He can fly. But at its core, Dauntless is really a skill-based game. So having that pixel-perfect dodge, timing your attacks, planning with your friends are all super important to survival on the hunt. There's a potion here really quick, so I'm taking a beating already.
And when I say it's quite a little bit like Monster Hunter, so do you like this?
Yeah, actually, it's honestly kind of an honor to be mentioned in the same sentence as them. We have a lot of big Monster Hunter fans back home. I mean, I spent probably 200 hours playing Monster Hunter World already.
You?
Yeah, a lot of us back at the office played it when it came out. So there are definitely some similarities in terms of combat, like fighting big beasts and big monsters, but really we've drawn inspiration from a lot of our favorite games over the years to build Dauntless. So games like Destiny, World of Warcraft, Diablo really helped us build an online world and build a lot of the RPG systems as well.
What about the tactic? Because you're a team with 4 players,
Mm-hmm.
so can you just describe the roles of the players?
Yeah.
Normally?
So, wow, I'm going to dodge that attack eventually. So in Dauntless right now, we have 5 different weapon classes. And within each weapon class are hundreds of different varieties based on the materials that you use to craft the weapon. So I'm using the sword right now, which is a great beginner weapon. It's a good mix of speed and power, lots of combos. We have Jordan here is using the impact hammer, which is a little bit slower, but a little bit heavier, more damage, and also has a cannon inside of it that you can fire at close range. But every player gets access to all 5 of the weapons completely free. Being a free-to-play game, it was really important to us that we didn't put any of the weapons or content behind paywalls. So every weapon can be used by every player. You don't have to pick a class or a specific weapon when you start Dauntless. You can just change on the fly. So after this hunt, we'll return to Ramsgate, and I'll change probably to the axe or maybe the warpike, which is 2 of our other weapons. So yeah, you really,
nothing is behind the paywall.
Correct. So
and no loot boxes.
No loot boxes. Yeah. So we took loot boxes out of our game late last year. Big part of community feedback during the closed beta was that loot boxes just didn't really feel great. You know, you'd spend like $5, $10 for a piece of content, and you wouldn't get what you want. So we removed loot boxes and opted for a more direct purchasing model. So if you see an item you want in the in-game store, you can just buy it. You don't have to roll for a chance to get it, per se.
Because there's a great discussion at the moment about loot box, the system,
yeah.
everything behind.
Yeah, we fortunately dodged that bullet. We removed loot boxes pretty early on. And I mean, yeah, hearing about all the controversy now around them just kind of validated why it was a great decision for us. So most of our in-game monetization is based on cosmetics. So you saw the flare that Jordan shot off earlier. There are hundreds that you can customize with. Things like armor dyes, so you can change the color of your armor, emotes. I'm gonna dodge that eventually.
Talking and fighting.
Yeah, talking and fighting is not my strong suit. You can purchase and unlock a variety of different emotes in the game as well as banners. So every Slayer, I'm gonna try and get far enough away and plant my banner. Every Slayer gets their own banner that they can customize. So yeah, I mean, mainly for us, we wanted to make sure that the core game loop was always free to play. So all the behemoths are free to play. All the weapons are unlocked, free to play. That way you don't have to like buy your way to get the full game.
So, and your character is still a normal character or a developer character, because it's full equipped? No.
So these accounts, yeah, these are development accounts that we've already unlocked a lot of content on already. But the character that we're using here today is just using the starter gear, which is unlocked at the beginning of the game.
This is a hard creature. So.
Yeah, so we do like to say that Dauntless is a pretty challenging game. So each encounter will last, nice. Each encounter will last anywhere from 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes sometimes.
Okay.
And most of these fights are going to feel kind of like longer raid boss style fights where there's different phases. You have to coordinate with your friends. And like I mentioned earlier, you know, dodging super important. You can't just button mash your way through a fight and expect to survive. You have to be practiced and experienced to survive.
And normally we are 4 people.
Yeah, but the fights do scale based on how many players there are. So if you have 1 player, if you have 4 players, things like health and damage will scale accordingly so that the fight is fair for no matter how many players are involved. We're doing pretty good though. I think we're gonna get him.
And your studio opened because you create Dauntless. So this is your first title?
Yep, this is our debut title. Even though it's our first game, everyone from the studio has a long history in video game development. Many of us worked at BioWare together on Mass Effect and Dragon Age.
On the first one?
Yeah. Jesse, our co-founder, was a producer on the entire Mass Effect trilogy, which is where I met him.
Oh, great.
After that, many of us spent a lot of time at Riot Games together, where we worked on League of Legends for a bit. So that was great experience for us, just learning how to manage an online game and a live service. But yeah, we've spent 5, 7, 10 years in the industry together, which is great.
What do you think about the German game industry?
As someone who has played probably 200 hours of Factorio and probably 500 hours of Civilization.
Okay, great.
I joke, but I spent a lot of time on the Command & Conquer franchise for a bit, so RTS is very near and dear to my heart. Love strategy games. They're probably my favorite genre.
And what do you think about the German industry here and the German producers? Do you know one of them? Because our industry here in Germany is still crying because we're too small. The Asian industry is so great. The Americans are doing better. We need help from our politicians. So, what do you think? Do you recognize German games?
Honestly, I haven't played too many, but that's kind of the great part of coming out here and visiting. I mean, this is our second time as a studio coming out to Germany to meet fine folks like yourself. It was kind of actually a surprise to us back home at the studio. Germany is our #2 territory behind the United States. Something like 10% of our players and our traffic comes from Germany. Yeah, and very, very early on. So yeah, that's why we wanted to come out here to start meeting everyone, to get to know everyone, to help support the local gaming community more.
So here in Hamburg, here are sitting the guys from Inner Games and with their Forge of Empires, for example. And
Yep.
Games is still here.
Oh, there we go. He's over here to the north. Sorry, Jordan, I got turned around.
I think we need a flare.
Yeah.
There
we go. So what happened was we did enough damage to the behemoth that he fled from battle. So once they get low on health, behemoths kind of have a chance to flee to recuperate a little bit of their health, but that's okay because it gives us a chance to kind of regroup, regain our health, and chase it down and finish the fight.
So, but there's still one big boss at the moment, because in Monster Hunter, for example, it may come another beast as well.
So we actually had dual behemoth fights in the game a little while ago. Like you'd have to fight Shrike and another behemoth at the same time. We're retuning it right now because it was very, very difficult, but we definitely want to add it back. We want to do multiple behemoth fights. We want to do consecutive fights, so you have to fight Shrike, then Pangar, then Drask, have to fight multiple behemoths in a row. Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways we can explore like the core game loop.
So can you just describe the feelings from a developer when you launch your title and recognize, okay, the servers are getting full, and what did you hope?
You know, it's been a very humbling experience, and it's been honestly kind of surreal sometimes. Like I said, we just launched our new patch yesterday, which is our largest content patch to date, and we had over 3,000 peak CCU, which is like the most we've had, might have been since last year. And it's I mean, you always hope for the best and plan for the worst. And it's crazy to see how many people show up and to meet the fans and hear their feedback. And yeah, like it's been a humbling, awesome experience for everyone back home. Like we just got back from PAX East, which is a trade show in Boston. And we had a huge line that was wrapped around our booth all 4 days of the show. Got to talk to fans and players all 4 days. And it's just great to connect with people and hear their experience with Dauntless and how much fun they've been having playing it. I mean, that's what we want. That's what we set out to do.
So when you got an idea for a game, so you must be sure that this is what the people would like. So yeah. Are you testing it? Are you testing your idea before?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, we wanted to get the game in the hands of players very early on. So when we had, call it like our first demo of Dauntless, we...
Whoops.
Yeah, can't talk and play at the same time. We got it in the hands of players very early on. We ran focus groups with it because, yeah, we wanted to hear like, hey, this is what we're thinking. Is this fun? Does this behemoth look cool? Even like kind of foundational, like we challenged a lot of our foundational thinking too around game design. Like ranged combat, for example, wasn't a part of the original plan. You can see right now we're using only melee weapons because when we designed our first couple weapons, we wanted Dauntless to be only melee combat. But we heard very loud and clear early on that range combat was something that players were very interested in. So the most recent weapon we've added, the Warpike, is our first take on ranged combat. And we're working on even another ranged weapon after that as our next one. So like I said before, feedback has been really important to us in helping us design the game.
But the first step must be, okay, we got the idea. Is this a good idea for a game? So can you just describe this way?
When we first started thinking about our first game, we had a bunch of different ideas on the table, actually, and not many people know this, but the first, call it whiteboard with all of our game ideas on it included a character-based shooter. This was long before Battleborn, Overwatch, Paladins, so thank God we dodged that bullet. There are also some other ideas around first-person shooters and Battle Royale, which is also super popular right now. But what we landed on was, we landed on Dauntless because we wanted to create a game that just didn't really exist yet. A lot of us were playing games like Monster Hunter and Diablo, and we kind of wanted that perfect blend of an RPG, challenging, like Dark Souls style game, but we wanted it on a more comfortable, like modern form factor. We had been playing Monster Hunter on our DSs for so long, and we're like, it's time that this genre comes to console, comes to PC. And the more that we explored that, the more that we realized there were tons of opportunities to create like kind of a more online social game, put co-op first, making it free to play. And yeah, I mean, it just came down to wanting to make the game that we wanted to play. And yeah, we tested the idea very early on in focus groups and with players to hear what they thought about it.
Okay. So before there's a test with the audience or the players.
Yeah, we actually.
Do you think this idea would be a great idea?
Yeah, we actually, before we announced our game at the Game Awards in 2016, we actually took the game to closed focus groups to have them play the game, one, to tell us what they thought about it, and two, to hear more about the premise and like, does this sound interesting to you? Would you play this? Does free to play make sense? Just to, again, to validate and challenge our beliefs and our assumptions. So we've arrived back here in Ramsgate. This is normally when we would take our hard-earned spoils from the hunt to a weaponsmith or to an armorsmith to craft new weapons and new gear. For the sake of the demo, we've already unlocked a ton of that. Okay. So one of the things, I mean, being a challenging game, we want to reward players, and we want players to be able to celebrate their success with each other. So gear plays a huge role in Dauntless. We've got just a few of the armors unlocked here. There are hundreds of different combinations that you can play with. Each comes with its own perks, its own armor set bonuses. So the more pieces you collect in a certain set, the stronger your bonuses get. I'm going to go ahead and use let's use the Embermane armor. This one's pretty iconic. And yeah, each piece of armor comes in four pieces. So you have the chest, the helm, the bracers, and the boots. Each can be customized with a variety of different armor dyes. We've got just a few of them unlocked here, but there are tons more in the game that can be earned and purchased. I'll go for a green look. Nice. Each piece of gear also comes with what's known as an infusion socket. So you can socket in a variety of what we call cells into armor. Think of these as like gems or things that you can socket into your armor that include a variety of different upgrades as well. So let's put in
Like Diablo,
a little bit like Diablo, yeah.
What do you think is the best Diablo title? 1, 2, 3?
Oh.
I mean, I think 2 is probably the best.
Yeah.
But I actually really enjoyed Diablo 3 when they added rifts and a lot of the later content, like in year 1 and year 2.
And you're just going through the greater rifts and...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I played Demon Hunter, and then I played Monk as well.
Okay.
So in addition to having your 4 different pieces of armor, each Slayer also gets their own lantern. This is a mysterious contraption that holds ether inside of it, which is the magical substance that keeps the islands afloat. And each lantern comes with its own unique abilities as well. So throughout the hunt, as you do damage to the behemoth and build up your power, you'll be able to release your lantern and do a unique ability as well. In terms of weapons, so we've got, like I said, we've got 5 different weapon classes in the game today. Here's just a couple different weapons that have already been unlocked on these accounts. We'll take the Warpike, and I can show you some of the ranged combat actually. Yeah, let's do that one. Cool. And then in addition to your weapons and armor, each Slayer gets a variety of consumables that they can craft as well. So you always get your basic healing potion to help keep you alive on the hunt, but you can also equip a variety of different potions as well. So I've got my Bulwark Tonic, which reduces my damage taken, a healing totem that I can drop in the battlefield to heal my allies, and then a life drain potion as well. That'll give me a portion of damage done back as health. In addition to that, I mentioned the banners earlier. You can customize your banner with a bunch of different sigils, a bunch of different dyes as well, so you can change the colors on them. Emotes, so we've got a couple unlocked already. Ton more in the game to be unlocked and purchased as well. Flares, like I said, there's a bunch of different flares in the game as well. So yeah, lots of different ways to express your character and customize your character as well. So we'll jump into another hunt here. We'll take on a little bit more challenging behemoth. We'll take on Skarn, who is one of the more recent behemoths we've added to the game. Cool, so here we kind of skipped over this on our last hunt, but this is your airship lobby. When you load into a hunt, you'll get a chance to inspect your team's gear, do any last minute coordination. In this case, I'm going to tell Jordan we're going on a Skarn hunt, so he should take a hammer, because a hammer, Jordan, is going to be really important in this hunt. And you can, yeah, like I said, it's a good opportunity for last minute coordination with your team. And you can also inspect your team's gear and see what other upgrades and armor and weapons they've unlocked. Cool. can see here a couple of the other armor sets in the game as well. We're always adding new content to the game. Since we launched our closed beta, we've added the war pike, which is a new weapon. We've added 2 new behemoths. We've added a ton of different, more challenging versions of those behemoths as well. You can think of them as like the heroic versions. They kind of take what you know about the behemoth fight and turn it on its head, making the behemoth more challenging, more health, more damage. Here we're arriving on one of the snow environments, one of the snow islands. We've got a couple different environments in Dauntless. The last one we were on was the forest. This is the snowy tundra, and then we have a desert biome as well. And while they provide a nice backdrop for the island, things like weather patterns, time of day, the island will all impact gameplay as well. So for example, if you're to fight a frost behemoth on a snow island during a snowstorm, there might be a hunt modifier on that behemoth will do more damage and take less damage.
Okay. And the game is still in beta?
Yeah, we're in closed beta right now, but we'll be launching our open beta at the end of the month on May 24th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and being free to play, at that point, the game will be truly open to everyone. So you can log into the website. Looks like he's up here to the west, I think. You can log into the website, download the game. It's free to play. So on May 24th, everyone will be able to jump in and check it out. Yeah. I'll light up a flare over here. So Skarn is covered in these armored rocks that protect his body. For weapons like the war pike and the sword and the axe, it's going to be really difficult for us to get in and do damage to him. But Jordan's picked up the, let's see if I can knock him out of this. Nope. Jordan's picked up the hammer for this hunt. And the hammer does blunt damage, which is great for breaking armor, cracking plates, breaking talons and tusks. So he'll be able to get in and break the armor so that I can get in with the war pike and deal damage to the behemoth. So as I do attacks with the war pike, I'm building energy, and I can store that energy to later use for a long-range shot from far away.
So this must be funny, the development process to create a monster.
Well, it's kind of a team effort. Yeah. So sometimes we come up with the artwork first. Sometimes we come up with the design for the behemoth first. But we have like the whole studio gets involved. We like to do a behemoth submission process when we're ready to create a new one. We kind of open up to the whole studio to submit their ideas. We all get together and discuss them, and it's kind of how the last couple of behemoths have come together. Yeah, so you can see Jordan's destroyed the armor covering his face, so I can get in there and deal bonus damage to him now. Oh.
Oops.
Yeah, he got me. We're all getting a little bit low on health, so I'm going to drop my healing totem over here. Give our team some bonus health. You'll also notice as the fight is progressing, you can injure parts on the behemoth, and that's what this little drop was over here. So he dropped his Skarn hide. As you do his tornado again. As you do damage to a behemoth, you can injure parts. So you can do things like sever tails, you can break claws, you can injure body parts like arms and legs. And once you do this, it'll kind of remove that from the fight. So if you sever a tail, you no longer have to watch out for like the tail swipe. But you can also pick up those items for crafting ingredients back in the city as well. Some of the more rare items in the game will require you to like very specifically defeat a behemoth, like defeat a behemoth without severing the tail, or defeat a behemoth in like and sever or like break a beak in like the first 5 minutes of the fight. Bunch of different ways to defeat the behemoth. Okay, so I built up enough charge in my lantern, which you can see in the top left corner there. And because I crafted this lantern with parts from one of the lightning behemoths in the game, I can discharge a giant lightning bolt from my lantern from far away as well.
Do you have a favorite behemoth?
Ooh, I would say my favorite behemoth, you know, I really like Skarn actually, because he forces a team to coordinate together. I'd have to say my favorite behemoth though is probably a behemoth called Pangar, he was one of our earlier behemoths that we designed. But he is one of the bigger ones we have in the game, and he's very challenging. But yeah, I really like how he looks visually. I like his attacks. He's a fun one. Oh, I missed. You know, you'd think he'd be slow, but for a giant mountain, he moves pretty quick sometimes. Oh, looks like he's getting ready to flee.
Good.
All right, take a little bit of health from here. Let's see where he went to.
Away.
That's just a goat hanging out.
Do you have a wish for your game?
A wish?
A wish, maybe, yeah.
Wow, I've never been asked that question before.
That the players maybe still love your game in about 10 years, maybe.
Oh man, I mean that's the dream. I mean, honestly, at this point, it's just my sincere hope that players have as much fun playing the game as we all do back home. It's been four years of development now, and it's great. I mean, we're so close to open beta, and we're so excited to see what everyone thinks of the game when they get a chance to play it. Okay, looks like.
Is there another game in progress at your studio?
Right now it's just Dauntless. Okay. We're very interested in being a multi-game studio, but right now we're focused on getting Dauntless out the door first, and then we'll figure out what to do next. Cool, so it looks like he's over here.
So the most of the work is done, or no?
I mean, being a live product, our work is never really done. Like we'll ship a content patch, like we'll add new adventures and new challenges to the game, and then start work on the next patch. So we actually just released the last content patch before we go into open beta. Mm-hmm. But we've already started work on the first update after open beta. So we've already got a new weapon in development. We've already got a new behemoth in development. New islands, new quests are already in development. So our work is never really done. We ship one thing and start work on the next one almost immediately after it.
And which engine do you use?
We use Unreal 4. And it's been great. We've many of us have used Unreal before. Super powerful, super easy to use. We've been really happy with it so far. Nice.
So I think you already mentioned all kinds of weapons, I think.
Yeah. Okay. We've got the first weapon that we used was the sword. This is the war pike. Our teammates are using the hammer right now, and then we haven't seen it yet, but we have an axe as well, which is very slow but very, very powerful. It's probably it's my favorite, and it's the strongest weapon in the game. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have the chain blades, which are kind of like these dual-wield knives that you can use that are very, very fast. Definitely the fastest weapon in the game. Very combo focused.
Is the group able to kill this behemoth in about 2 or 3 minutes? I don't think so.
2 or 3 is probably a little fast.
Because we have 5 minutes left.
Great. Well, we'll have him done in the next 5 minutes, I think, for sure.
Okay. So hurry up, group.
Yeah. I'm looking at you, Jordan. Pick up the pace. Yeah, the average fight will last anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, like I said, maybe 20 minutes for some longer ones. But we already have a speedrunning community that showed up, doing all sorts of crazy challenges like no-hit runs or speed runs or solo runs, which is awesome. I mean, we never really expected that, and it's great to see that community show up and support the product. Nice.
So
there we go.
When the players outside are better than the developers. Maybe.
Oh yeah. Let's be clear here. I am no pro at this game. Yeah, we've got some players who've been playing since our closed alpha who are just insanely good.
Okay. Finish.
We did it.
Thank you very much for your visit.
Absolutely.
I wish the best for your game.
Thank you.
End of May. It's
May 24th open beta.
The open beta, so everybody can go into it and join the game.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't touch on it, but we have regional servers. So we're playing all the way over here in Germany, and we had a pretty lag-free experience. That was super important to us. Being a global product, we wanted to make sure that players worldwide would get a good experience. So no matter where you are, no matter where you play Dauntless, you should hopefully get a great connection to the game. And we actually just patched in all of our localization as well. So German, French, Italian, Spanish, and Brazilian Portuguese are all available in the game today as well.
Okay. Thank you very much for your visit.
Thank you.
So, viel Spaß mit dem Spiel. Übrigens, wir mussten an der rechten Seite es ein bisschen blurren. Da gab es dann Informationen auf dem Rechner, die man nicht unbedingt sehen musste. Deshalb war der rechte Teil so ein bisschen unscharf. Das war Dauntless. Ich wünsche euch viel Spaß. Thank you very much.
Thank you.